Haribol.
Krishna Mataji.
Ganpati Govind, how many sessions are you doing per day? I said, how many sessions are you joining per day? I said.
Oh, no. Today, Guru Maharaj took a class for all the devotees here in Northeast America.
I know, Pyari, yeah, Jiva Mataji was telling me that, yeah. And then you had 11 o'clock, you had your session, I think, right?
Yes, Mataji, and then this one.
I know. I was telling Jiva, I said, I'm not Krishna conscious at all. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, not one more session.
There's nothing to do at home, Mataji. Can't go out. Otherwise, you would have gone out for book distribution or something. But
I know, but some of us are not as Krishna conscious as you, Ganpati Govind. We'll find something else to do. Oh my God, the sunset looks so beautiful here in Simsbury.
And it springs, but from a spark of Krishna splendor.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, the sky. Oh my God. It almost looks unreal.
What is she talking about?
The sunset in Simsbury.
Oh. Look up on top of your hill.
No, it's, yeah, right from my window. It looks so beautiful. There's like orange colors that I've never seen before.
Maybe it's Krishna revealing the universal form.
Could be. I can see a little portion of the sun as it's going down.
I can see some people being eaten.
Some people what?
Being eaten. Oh, it's time to start already. Okay.
Oh.
So let's see. Oma Gyana Timirandasya
Jnananjana Shalakaya Militana Tasmai Shri Guru
Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam
Pitamina Bhutale Rupa Kadamayin Bhagavati Pada
Deham Shri Guru Shri Utapala Kamalam Shri Guru
Vaishnavamsya
Shri Rupam
Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Sajivam
Advaitam
Sarvadvatam Parijana Sanitam Krishna Devam
Virata
Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita
Hare Krishna Corona Sindhu
Dante Sarvate
Krishna Gopika Kanta Sapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishware Rishabhanu
Sudhe Devi
Mami
Jakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Krishna Vibhyo Namo Namaha
Shri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar
Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare.
Reading text 45, chapter 11, Bhagavad Gita, page 590. So everybody's ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone can repeat. Adrishta purvam rishitosmi dristva.
Adrashta purvam rashitosmi drashtva
Bhayena cha pravyati tam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyatatam mano me
Tareva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa
Adrishta purvam rishitosmi dristva.
Adrashta purvam rishitosmi drashtva
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhavyena cha pravyatatitam mano me.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva me darshaya deva
Deva
rupam.
Rupam
Prasida devesha jagan nivesha nivasa.
Prashita
Prasida
Deva
devesha
Shajagan
jagan
Nivasa
nivasa.
Adrishta purvam rishitosmi drisva.
Adrashta purvam rashitosmi drishtva.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Adrishta purvam rishitosmi drishtva.
Adrashta purvam
Purvam
rishitosmi
Rishito
drishtva.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhayena
Bhavyena
cha
cha
pravyatitam
pravyatitam
mano
mano
me.
me.
Tadeva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva
Deva
Tadeva darshaya deva
Jaganivasa.
prasida
devesha jagan
devesha
nivasa. Adrashta purvam rashitosmi drishtva. Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Bhayena cha
Tad eva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tadeva
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Adrishta purvam rishitosmi drishtva.
Adrashta purvam rashitosmi drishtva.
Bhayena cha pravayathitam mano me.
Bhayena cha pravyatitam mano me.
Tad eva me darshaya deva rupam.
Tad eva me darshaya deva rupam.
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
Adrishta purvam.
Adrashta
Drishta
purvam.
Purvam
Never seen. Never seen
Never
before.
seen. Never seen before.
Rishitaha.
Rashitaha.
Gladdened.
Gladdened.
Asmi.
Asmi.
I am.
I am.
Drishtva.
Drishtva.
By seeing.
By seeing.
Bhayena.
Bhayena.
Out of fear.
Out of fear.
Cha.
Cha.
Also.
Also.
Pravyatetam.
Pravyatitam.
Perturbed.
Perturbed.
Manaha.
Manaha.
Mind.
Mind.
Me.
Me.
My.
Mind.
Tat. That.
That.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
May.
Me.
Unto me.
Unto me.
Dashaya.
Darshaya.
Show.
Show.
Deva.
Deva.
O Lord.
O Lord.
Rupam.
Rupam.
The form.
The form.
Prasida.
Prasida.
Just be gracious.
Just be gracious.
Deva Isha.
Deva Isha.
O Lord of Lords.
O Lord of Lords.
Jagat Nivasa.
Jagat Nivasa.
O refuge of the universe.
O refuge of the universe.
Translation. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O Lord of the universe. Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. And as a dear friend, can everyone mute? Or someone who's in charge, mute everyone?
Yeah.
Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. So I'm just going to start commenting on the purport as I go through it. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Iti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharni Nivase Sasunyavadi Pastachade Satarane. So Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend, and as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence. So if you have a close friend and they show you such opulence, you're happy. He's your best friend. Actually, it says Krishna is everyone's best friend, and I'm sure he was Arjuna's best friend because Arjuna is a pure devotee, personal associate of the Lord. If you have personal association with the Lord, you're not going to have someone else as your best friend. He's going to be your best friend. And it's described he's our best friend, even if we aren't pure devotees, because he's coming with us everywhere. He cares about us more than anyone else. So that's our best friend. We go into a hog's body. He comes with us into a hog's body. He's our best friend, and he's trying to help us, and he's always giving us good advice. So now, this best friend of ours, now we can think we're in the human form, no longer in the hog form. We're in the human form, and we have a best friend. And our best friend shows us some wonderful opulences that they have. We're very happy. That's amazing. Wow, I didn't know you had that. Of course, this opulence is a lot more than any of your best friends could possibly show you. But at the same time, because it's so great, so magnanimous, he's so happy that his friend has this wonderful ability. This is under his control. This whole universe and everything in it is completely under his control. And he shows you how he's controlling everything. And he explains to you that all these people are already dead. It's just a matter of time. I've already killed them. Now all you have to do is act. They're not being killed by you. Actually, I've already killed them. You can get the credit for it. And he sees this and he's so happy. And you could imagine how happy he'd be. But at the same time, it's a very scary form seeing this whole thing. So he's simultaneously very glad, but also afraid at the same time. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. So now he's thinking that I did so many things wrong with him. I acted just like you have a friend and you do so many things with them. Then you find out your friend is God and you might think, oh man, I did this to you and I played this joke on you and I sat with you and we can imagine, you can pick somebody, and if you find out, of course, you're never going to find out that person's God, but if they happen to be, then you can see all of your faults and how you didn't treat them so nicely. You treated them just like an ordinary person. You didn't treat them like anything special. You didn't treat them like God, that's for sure. So therefore, after seeing that he is God, he is the Supreme Personality of God, and the universe is one of his material external forms, the whole universe, and actually has a form and so many different beings, everyone is in this universal form. And he feels he committed offenses, so he's afraid, at least in this part of the purport. I would think he'd also be afraid of just seeing this gigantic form. But here it says, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. So he didn't have any reason to fear because Krishna didn't hold anything against him because he committed offenses to him. Krishna didn't even consider them offenses. He enjoyed his company. He enjoyed him, treating him as if he was a regular, ordinary human being. So Arjuna, therefore, is asking Krishna to show his Narayan form because he can assume any form. So I mean, he asks him to see his Narayan form. I can't say for sure why he doesn't just go directly see his Krishna form. Maybe because he's still in awe and reverence and he wants to see the Narayan form to calm down a little, and before he gets a little bit more too intimate with the Lord, because the way one worships Narayan in Vaikuntha is awe and reverence. It's not, you're never equal to or greater than Narayan in Vaikuntha. But in Krishna Loka, even though you're not actually equal to or greater than God, but at the same time, you think your position is, and he allows you, because out of love, to treat him as an inferior, as your son, as your friend, an equal. So he allows that because he enjoys that. But it seems like he is in awe and reverence, and he wants to gradually go down out of awe and reverence for Narayan and then finally go to Krishna. That's my speculation. I don't know for sure why he's not going directly to Krishna, but he's not. He wants to see him in his Narayan form first, because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayan. So all the Vaikuntha planets has a different form of Narayan on it. They look identical, just their conch shell, club, lotus, and disc are in different hands. So there are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and each of them, Krishna is present by his planetary manifestation of different names. Thus Arjuna, so Krishna is present by different manifestations of himself in different forms, 4-arm forms. Krishna only has 2-arm forms. Thus Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayan is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols. The conch shell, mace, lotus, and disc. You know, if you start on the bottom right, it'll go in one order, then it changes, another form. So what is it? 4 times, let's see, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4. Is that what it is? Somebody who knows math. If it's 4 hands, the different arrangements, that's how many forms. I don't know how, because there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets, so maybe he has the same form on each and on many of the planets. According to the different hands, these 4 things are held in. The Narayans are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his 4-handed feature. So Arjuna wants to see his 4-handed feature, and I kind of went into that already as to why I'm not exactly positive. So after seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead. So, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. So maybe when he's saying your form as the personality of Godhead, because maybe as Krishna, he doesn't really see him as the personality of Godhead. He sees Krishna as his friend. So that's the verse and purport. I have some other things that I printed up. This is from the Bhagavad Gita, verses 132, 33, 34, 35, purport. The devotee of the Lord does not retaliate against, although this is the wrongdoings, wait. Verse 4. Hope I'm doing the verses that I know. Does anybody know if that was the verse I'm supposed to do? I'm the one who gave class yesterday. I should know where I'm up to. Oh. Okay, let me just go to questions and answers because somehow I saw something I read.
I wasn't in yesterday's class, so I don't know what you gave yesterday.
Yeah, I thought we were on 45. Because remember you talked about him being a father.
Well, we probably are, but maybe I read different verses. I don't know. Anyway, does anyone have any questions or comments? I mean, I had one question. What verse was I supposed to do?
A comment, someone has a question.
Okay, well, Jiva has a comment. What's your comment, Jiva?
Well, it stands to reason to me that if the Lord showed the universal form, or Arjuna wanted to see the universal form to show, he said he manifested for the impersonalists, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who believe that Narayan is the supreme, the Lord showing that the foreign form comes from Krishna shows that Narayan is coming from Krishna, not Krishna from Narayan. No? Doesn't it?
Well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't listening because now I found the verse that I thought I was supposed to do was 44, but I don't know. Nobody else seems to know, so it doesn't matter.
By Arjuna requesting Krishna to show his forearm form, it's showing that Narayan is coming from Krishna, not Krishna from Narayan. You know, many people believe that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan.
So because he's asking him to show his forearm form, that means
it's showing that Narayan's coming from Krishna, that Narayan is within Krishna, that he can, he manifests this form.
can't you, I mean, just for to be a devil's advocate, can't you say that Narayan is the original form and after Narayan, Arjuna likes this other form, so he manifests this other form as Krishna? I know that's not true, but I'm just, going, just, someone can say that.
The last sentence says, all these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his four-handed feature. I don't understand what the therefore means.
Oh, well, therefore means that it doesn't matter whether he sees this form or that form, but there has to be some real reason. Why does he want the forearm form? I just kind of think he wants to come down slowly.
I think it's to show that Narayan comes from Krishna.
I don't see how it shows that though. But
Because doesn't that, I think Jiva's statement seems to hold the truth because it says all of these forms are one with Krishna.
right, that because it says that, yes.
It doesn't say Krishna is one with all of these forms.
Right. No, we already, everyone I think on this call here or whatever it's called knows that Krishna is the original supreme person. Nobody has any doubts.
So it's like Jiva said, Arjuna might want to establish that for the rest of the world,
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't know how, to me, that is not a very convincing argument, but it might be, and I'm just not hearing it properly or thinking properly. Anyway, I don't know if I should do 44.
Maybe as we continue on, it'll become more clear.
Yeah, maybe, or at least if it doesn't become more clear, we'll forget about this question and it doesn't really matter.
To us, it doesn't.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Right.
Prabhu, I have a question. So, if I take example of our material life, where let's say I come across a something unexpected form, it could be animal, something else. The first reaction is fear of injury or fear of death from that particular form. Now, in this case, I understand there is a fear feeling. Now, what I'm not understanding, what is that fear about? Fear of death or fear of reactions of his sinful actions that Arjuna is talking about?
Well, Prabhupada, first of all, it's a little different. If you come across some fearful animal, it's not your friend that just made himself into that animal and he's your friend. It's a little different. You should be afraid of that animal, fear from death or whatever, not because you offended him in a past life. Arjuna, Prabhupada's pointing out that Arjuna's fear is, it may not be so much of a fear. Just say you offend someone. Now, there are different people may think differently. You commit some offense against some Vaishnava. You might think, I want to get, I'm sorry, I feel afraid because I'm going to get some reaction. Or you might not even consider your reaction, but you consider, I did such a terrible thing. I don't care if I get a reaction, but and you may feel fear just because you did something wrong. You didn't want to do that. You hurt this person. So you should feel some fear. You should feel, you can fear even fear for your spiritual life. I may fall down after doing this. Something might happen really bad that it's difficult for me to go on with my spiritual life. You might think so many things, but that's the fear that Prabhupada is saying, not the fear that now that I did this, I'm going to have to suffer a reaction. I don't think Arjuna is caring at all about any reaction he's going to suffer. He just feels, I didn't know who you were and I did all these things and I'm so sorry. That's what I think it is. You have some.
Oh, no, just he felt like he was familiar.
Yeah,
He
he was
didn't even do
was
anything
familiar.
bad.
He was his friend.
Yeah.
You have to try to understand who's your best friend in this material world. What devotee you really have a good relationship with. Not so much that you have awe and reverence, not the guru, but with just somebody you joke with, you talk with freely. And then you can't really imagine it in a sense that because it's not true, but just theoretically try to imagine that that's Krishna's and he's just came as this devotee and then he reveals himself to you. I kind of think I'd be really glad that, wow, oh, Krishna, maybe I can get something from him.
But Pyari, no matter what,
But-
even Lakshmi Devi was afraid of Lord Nrsimhadev. Krishna's form is so fearful that it shows that even fear personified is fearful of Krishna. So he's trying to show his power and.
I'm going by what Prabhupada said in his purport, not by what I would think. I would also agree that it would be afraid to see that form. It's fearful form. But at one point, it seemed like he was afraid about that. And now it seems like he's afraid just because he was too familiar with him.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can't be friendly with that form. And the more wonder and awe there is, the more fear there is, in the relationship.
Yeah, in the previous verses, he was afraid of that form. It was scary.
Okay, so I see you're talking about the progression of fear. Okay, now I get it.
In this purport, that's what Prabhupada says.
Yeah. Yeah, he's fearful of his familiarity.
Yeah. And you could be afraid of that. I know, I can see that. Even your guru, let's just say your guru or someone else is very advanced and you joke with them, it's light. And then you do something a little too familiar and he may get a little upset. Then you can have some fear. Oh, I'm sorry I offended him. Not that I don't think you'd be having fear that, oh, now I'm going to suffer. I don't think I would feel that. I would just feel I'm so bad. I'm useless. My life is worthless. And I'd be fearful in that way.
No, that's true. Even Prabhupada's disciples were very familiar with him in the beginning after they realized his his position as they became more mature were
Yes.
reflecting that they should not have been as
Right, and even after, there's some things that were familiar, but Prabhupada didn't mind, as long as they didn't cross the line. You know, there was a line, I guess an invisible line, but you should know not to get too familiar. So there is, I mean, fear, I should have done some more on fear. Problem is I did my research on the verse before this verse.
Like the Christians talk about fear of God, having a
Oh,
healthy
yeah.
fear of God.
Yeah,
But
well,
you-
Christians, their whole thing is to fear God. He's a jealous God, and he's going to send you to hell if you're bad. I mean, it's just all afraid. It's not a loving relationship. You know, it's like a real stern father, real strict father. It may not be a loving relationship, but he's your father, you respect him, and you're afraid of him.
I think there's some
And you
love.
do the right thing because you know you're going to get hit, and if you don't. That's more of the Christians. And then there's a loving father. If anybody's had that experience.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, I forgot what your question was.
And the more loving he is, the more he can act like on the child's level. You know what I mean? Like the child can play on the father as a horse. And
Yeah,
the-
well, I'm
the
thinking,
more loving.
I was thinking of a loving relationship even as more an adult. Prabhupada's relationship with his disciples was a loving relationship. He, you know, you can genuinely tell that he loves you. He cares about you, you know, and you knew this. And because of this, you wanted to reciprocate. It was all love. He said it's voluntary, it's love.
And it was a type of love that they hadn't experienced before. They felt it was deeper and
Yeah.
unconditional.
Can you hear Jiva, everyone?
yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back one verse anyway. It's a short purport. So we'll do, I don't know if I did it or not, but 44 and then 45.
I think you did 43, 44, Prabhu, because 41, 42 I covered, then you took 2 verses left after that, right?
Okay, so I did do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to read 44 again anyway, because I don't think I commented at all on it. You are the supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisance and ask for your mercy. As a father tolerates the impotence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, and a wife the familiarity of her partner, please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you. So that was even the verse before this. So he's feeling about, you know, I did some things I probably shouldn't have done. Although those things he did were actually good things for Krishna. Krishna enjoyed them. So purport, Krishna's devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, or as a master. Krishna and Arjuna are related in friendship. As the father tolerates, or the husband, or a master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. And now I did write some things. I mean, didn't write, copy, printed more about this particular verse, which I certainly didn't do yesterday. So the devotees of the Lord, this is from Bhagavad Gita 1:32 in the purport, of the Lord does not retaliate against the wrongdoer, but the Lord does not tolerate any mischief done to the devotee by the miscreants. So the devotee tolerates what somebody does to him, but the Lord will not tolerate what the person did to the devotee. The Lord can excuse a person on his own account, but he excuses no one who has done harm to his devotees. Therefore, the Lord was determined to kill the miscreants, although Arjuna wanted to excuse them. That's just so nice that Arjuna is perfectly willing, because that's the nature of a devotee. And the Lord can forgive somebody if you offend him personally. That's not a problem. But when you do something against his devotee, he doesn't tolerate that. And how we have to become tolerant in 2:14. Mata prasparshastu kante yashitoshna sukadukada. Agama paino nityastam statikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and the disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. And one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So we have to do our service and not be disturbed by happiness or distress. We have to tolerate. And then Bhakti Siddhanta said, even when something becomes intolerable, still you should tolerate. Now this is after Asvatthama killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. Draupadi said, Draupadi could not tolerate Asvatthama's being bound by ropes. And being a devoted lady, she said, release him, for he is a Brahmana, our spiritual master. How tolerant can you be? You know, somebody kills your 5 sons, not just one son, 5 of them, while they're sleeping, kids, and you forgive them. So that's real forgiveness and tolerance that is exceptional. And in that purport it says, but in spite of all this, Draupadi desired that Asvatthama be at once released. And it was all the same, a good sentiment for her. This means that a devotee of the Lord can tolerate all sorts of tribulations personally, but still such devotees are never unkind to others, even to the enemy. These are the characteristics of one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. So how many people are like that? Not too many. But a pure devotee can do that. Now this is interesting. This is similar to what this verse and both verses we just read today. Arjuna speaking to Maharaj Yudhisthira in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:15:5. Arjuna said, O king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigods, is no longer with me. So this is in the 5th verse that he's of this chapter, of chapter 15, that Krishna is now left and he doesn't have the power that he used to have. And now, and this is from, let's see, where is this from? Anyway, I guess this is a purport. Generally, both of us used to live together. Now, Arjuna is talking to Yudhisthira, the same things he's talking here, similar things anyway. Generally, both of us used to live together and sleep, sit, and loiter together. And at the time of advertising oneself for acts of chivalry, sometimes, if there were any irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, my friend, you are very truthful. Even in those hours when his value was minimized, he reproached him, he chastised him, he corrected him. And even in those hours when his value was minimized, he, being the Supreme Soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son. Actually, it's not the purport. I think that's the verse. And then purport, since the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is all perfect, his transcendental pastimes with his pure devotees never lack anything in any respect, either as a friend, son, or lover. The Lord relishes, this is interesting, the Lord relishes the reproaches of friends, parents, or fiancés more than the Vedic hymns offered to him by great learned scholars and religionists in an official fashion. I think that says an awful lot of how he doesn't mind these things. He appreciates them. You know, so when they're reproaching him, they're criticizing him, they're correcting him, he likes that better when it's done by his devotees, friends, parents, fiancés, better than when great learned scholars and religionists or chanting the Vedic hymns in an official fashion. That doesn't please him as much. So Krishna is, he wasn't upset at all. He very much enjoyed this relationship with Arjuna. Now this, of course, is after Krishna left the planet. So here, Arjuna, at this time when he's talking in Bhagavad Gita, he's not sure if Krishna's forgiving him and all that. But now he knows he did. He appreciated it. He didn't mind me minimizing him. He minimized Krishna. That might be an offense, but it's not an offense when you're his friend or you're a great devotee and your close friend. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I have a comment, like not only was he a friend, I mean, Krishna even was kind of like Arjuna's stable boy, you know, taking care of the horses and feeding the horses, you know, because he was the charioteer.
Yeah, of course, in the second chapter, Arjuna became his devotee. He surrendered to him. Whatever you say, I'll accept. Now I'm a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
Yes, I was thinking about Arjuna's reflections of he might have treated Krishna.
What?
I was thinking about Arjuna's reflections on feeling bad and how he might have treated Krishna.
In the Bhagavatam, it doesn't seem like he's feeling bad. He's missing his friend so much. Even though I did all these things, still he didn't mind at all. He, being the Supreme Soul, used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me, exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or a father excuses his son. He's appreciating Krishna, and that's what Krishna does. He somehow makes our love for him more intense. Anyway, when I want to just read some things. I really like. I think everyone should try to read Prabhupada's letters. And when you read his books, and the books are the basis of the whole philosophy, and you understand his books, then you should read his letters to see more of his mood and how he dealt with different devotees. Very intimate, very nice, very sweet, and you learn Prabhupada's mood. So this is a letter to Brahmananda, who was a great devotee, really wonderful, wonderful devotee. He passed away in Vrindavan, several years ago. This is a letter from in November 1967. So 67 is the very beginning of the movement. Prabhupada said, the idea is that personally, one should be very meek and humble, even in the presence of the greatest provocation. But a slight insult to Krishna and his representative should at once be taken seriously, and appropriate measures should be taken. So we don't know the situation of what exactly happened. We can speculate, but then it says, we should never tolerate any insult or blasphemy to Krishna or his representative. So your action was quite all right. We don't know what somebody did. Brahmananda was really big and strong. He used to be a wrestler. So I don't know what he did, but Prabhupada says, so your action was quite all right. But because we are in the public eyes, we have to act cautiously so that people may not misunderstand. Anyway, forget the chapter. There is nothing to be lamented. Another time, Prabhupada was with Brahmananda, and there was some kind of a yogi guy, a skinny guy, and he was criticizing our diet, that we eat too much sugar, we eat too much this, that, milk, dairy, whatever. And Prabhupada had Brahmananda sitting right next to him. He said, see this boy here? He said, he eats only this diet. And if I ask him to, he can rip you apart with his bare hands. And Brahmananda, when he told the story, he said, I was just waiting. Prabhupada's going to tell me to do this. You know, I mean, this was in New York too. And in New York, that was more the style. I remember New York and Boston, we would, you know, throw people out of the temple physically. And in California, it was difficult for them to do that because people are, you know, what would you call it?
Liberal.
Yeah, extremely liberal, and you can't do that to somebody, you know. But in the East Coast and West Coast was very different in that way. Anyway, that was a nice letter. I love Brahmananda, and I really appreciate whatever he did. He's fighting for Krishna. So Prabhupada says, but because we are in the public eyes, we have to act cautiously so that people may not misunderstand. I want to know what he did. I'm going to read another letter if I got time. This is a letter to Malati. It's the same Malati who's still around now. In January of '69. Please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter. And Prabhupada did this in so many letters. I am in due receipt of your letter, undated. The devotees would not date their letters, and he'd always write it undated. Or once in a while, somebody dated their letters, and he'd say, I'm in due receipt of your letter, dated, and he tells them when it's dated. I just think, you know, after writing it so many times, practically nobody learned they should write the date. And I was very pleased to note the contents. Regarding the Radha Sham chanting, this is something everyone should hear and learn from. Radha Sham chanting, which you have heard it, is not very good. So somebody chant. In our temple, strictly chant Hare Krishna chanting should be given more importance. This is no harm in this mantra. You have heard, but it is not very important. There are many such common songs composed by common devotees out of sentiment. But our principle is to stick to the authorities and always remember that Hare Krishna is the prime authorized mantra. I am very much encouraged to learn that you are bold enough to challenge any non-devotee as you did with their impersonalist yoga student. So now Brahmananda may have beat somebody up. She smashed somebody by telling him he's a nonsense and stuff. Devotees were in fighting spirit when Prabhupada was here. So that should be the temperament of all our preachers. We should not be aggressive, but we should not tolerate any sort of nonsense. All of these so-called yogis are therefore rascals because they have no actual realization of God. Falsely, they think themselves as God, and their association should be avoided as far as possible. Then he goes to this other lady. He's talking to Malati, but regarding this Shama Mataji Dasi from Vrindavan, does she sing Hare Krishna mantra or not? If she chants Hare Krishna, it is all right. And if she does not chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you should ask her why she does not do so. I am not familiar with her spiritual master, Gaurangi Das. But if he has taught her to sing this Radha Sham song, then he is also not authorized. So you got to take it. We don't chant. We chant what's in these books, these song books, and you don't get caught up in these things that sound nice, but may not mean too much. Any comments or questions on any of the letters I read so far?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
The Radha Sham song means it's a bhajan they are singing, or it's like chanting Radha Sham? I didn't understand.
I don't know which one. Maybe one, maybe the other. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's not authorized. That's the thing.
So you mean to say that in our ISKCON, I mean, we should not sing any version of Krishna apart from what prescribed for us, something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
We said we follow our acharyas.
Yeah.
Arjuna yena gata sapanta.
Right.
Follow the path of the previous.
He didn't like us listen. And I can tell you, Jayadvaita Swami has a whole list of things that we all do wrong in our kirtans.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, but I couldn't find anything that states this. And Jayadvaita Swami says this also. One of the things is Guru Dev, that we shouldn't chant Guru Dev. A lot of people chant Guru Dev. When I remember when Prabhupada said it, Prabhupada would say some letter and it would go around to all the temples. And I remember it saying that it's impersonal, Guru Dev. But anyway, people chant it. But Jayadvaita Swami, if you want to learn about what you can chant and what you can't chant, you can write to Jayadvaita Swami, and I'm sure you'll hear more than you bargained for.
Probably has it on his website.
Yeah, he may have it on his website. You can look. But it's kind of a pet peeve for Jayadvaita Swami. He's very strict in the way we should chant. And another thing some people do, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Maybe not that long, but we shouldn't do those long things like that. Okay, should I read another letter? I got time if there's nothing else. This is a letter to Hamsaduta, 1969. So far as Achyutananda and Jai Govinda are concerned, I am not displeased with any of my disciples. Apparently, Achyutananda and Jai Govinda must have done something wrong. I'm not displeased with any of my disciples. A father cannot be displeased with his sons, but sometimes the sons create disturbances, and the father has to tolerate. Constitutionally, the father is always affectionate and pleased with the sons, but it is up to the sons to obey the father and keep the relationship natural. So Prabhupada's tolerating. He's still a father. He's still loving. He's still caring. He's not displeased, but he's sometimes gets disturbed. This is a letter to Sudam. Now, Sudam, I knew him, he was a sannyasi, but apparently he was married before that.
Chintamani.
No, Jiva says to Chintamani. It says, it is very good news that your wife has taken to learn the Japanese language, because they were in Japan. So you should train your wife like that instead of fighting and creating misunderstanding.
Learn a language.
You must tolerate such misunderstandings.
Yeah, you have to fight in Japanese.
If you both speak two different languages, you'll get along better. I just think he's so kind and tries to help. He knows what's going on, there's problems. And I'm going to read a letter that Prabhupada wrote to Gopal Krishna. Now it was Das at the time. Now he's Maharaj. It was written in 1974, and this was apparently, I think this is before he got married. Maybe the next one is before he got married. Yeah, hold on. Let me read this. No, this was in, yes. This is before he got married. This was written in 1969. In November of 1969, Prabhupada wrote to Gopal Krishna Maharaj, not a Maharaj, of course. But it's so nice because if you know Gopal Krishna, not only is he, really nice, wonderful. What I really like, you go to his temple. I go to Mangalarti. I just go to the Delhi temple, Mangalarti, and he offers Mangalarti. He almost always does the arti. In Vrindavan, if he's there, he does the arti. He just does a lot of deity worship. But he, I guess he asked Prabhupada if he can get married. So regarding your marriage, that is my open opinion, that if anyone can remain a brahmachari all the time without being disturbed by sex urge, or who can tolerate such urges, there is not any need for him to marry and take some extra responsibilities. So basically, the first thing is if you can remain a brahmachari, honestly, be an honest brahmachari, that's better than getting married. But one who is disturbed in mind, he must get himself married. Therefore, it has to be decided by oneself if he should marry or not. So he's asking Prabhupada if he should marry. First thing Prabhupada says is better if you can remain brahmachari. But if you're disturbed, then you should get married. But the person has to decide themselves. Nobody can tell them. Prabhupada can't tell him you should get married, you shouldn't get married. This is something he has to decide himself. He should know. You should marry now. It is a fact, however, that if one is thoroughly engaged in Krishna's service, this sex urge does not have much disturbance. So now, first be a brahmachari. Next, if you're agitated, get married. Next, if you really engage in Krishna's service, you won't be agitated. Okay. But then the next thing, but you have got to work outside with karmis and different types of people. Under the circumstances, if you have a good wife to help you, that will be very nice. So now he's going back, but your job, it's hard to be fully engaged in Christian service because of your job. So if you had a good wife, it'd be nice. Another difficulty is that in modern civilization, everyone is independent, spirited. The girls are no longer very much humble and submissive to their husbands. Now he's going back the other way. So you must be prepared to tolerate such whims of your future wife.
He's giving both sides of the
I know,
lawyer.
it's really nice. What?
Tolerate such what of your what?
Such whims.
Whims.
Whims of your future wife. According to our Vedic civilization, disagreements between husband and wife is not taken very seriously in Vedic civilization. But the modern age allows divorce either by the husband or by the wife. These things are not good. But after marrying, certainly there will be some disagreement or misunderstanding between husband and wife. So consider all these points and you can decide yourself. But if you marry, I have no objection, as I have gotten married so many boys and girls and they are living peacefully. So I just think it's so nice. Prabhupada's so caring. When you read his letters, you can see how he's he's like a father giving you both sides of the story. This is better, but if you have this, it's really
So
nice.
did he get married or not?
He got married. I was at it's 8:00. I'll try to make it quick. I was with Prabhupada in a room. I happened to be in the room at the airport, maybe 20 devotees in the room. Gopal Krishna, he was a householder at the time. He was standing in the doorway. He just came straight from work. He had on his karmi clothes. And Prabhupada called him into the room, and he went like this, like, look, I'm not dressed properly. He said, no, you come in. He said, you are the real sannyasi, not he who lights no fire and performs no work. And then he mentioned to Gopal Krishna that he said, wherever grains are nicely kept, there's a good leader and there's no quarrels in the household. Automatically, Lakshmi Devi will come into that home. You don't even have to invite her. And then Prabhupada asked Gopal Krishna, so you recently got a raise? And Gopal Krishna, not Maharaj, said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, you should give that money to Bali Mardan, who was the New York Temple president at the time. And he said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada knew he got a raise and told him what to do with the money, the extra money. Give it to the temple. Anyway, Gopal Krishna was very surrendered. Okay, so we can end here. I did go over the last verse and the verse for today, 45. So we're up to 46. Who's giving class?
Sunday.
Oh, no, we don't
It's
have
Monday.
class. So, but Monday. So Ganapati Govind, we're up to 46.
Okay.
Sunday, there's a class at 4, right?
Not the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh,
Yeah, there is class. That's who's giving class? Anybody know?
I think, not I think, Suddha Bhakti Mataji. Tomorrow she is giving class.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Who's talking?
let's offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord of Krishna.
Hare Krishna.